college, USA postgraduate students, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to Postgraduate Research Enhancement and Enrichment Program this afternoon. This program was organized by Postgraduate Student Society, School of Management, USM. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank you for joining this session. My name is Desti Fitriani from Indonesia. I am the first year PhD student in School of Management, USM. It is an honor for me to host this program today. And we have here also our distinguished speaker, Professor Muhammad Aminul Islam. Professor Aminul Islam was one of the speakers during our last colloquium back in 2020. And he is now with us to share a very interesting and essential topic on conducting systematic literature review. We believe that this would be very beneficial for us in conducting and sharpening our research. Before we start, I would like to introduce a little bit about the distinguished speaker today. Professor Aminul Islam was an alumni of USM. He obtained his PhD in USM in 2011, and his thesis has won the Best PhD Thesis Award. Professor Aminul Islam is currently servicing as a professor in the School of Innovation and Technopreneurship at University Malaysia Perlis. Professor Aminul Islam has won several awards during his career from a number of distinguished institutions, including Raffles Education Founder Award in 2006, Excellent Academic Support Award 2009, the Best Lecturer Award in 2010, the Best Supervisor Award in 2018, 2019, and the Research Excellence Award in 2020 at University Malaysia Perlis. Professor Aminul Islam has been writing around 200 research papers, 5 books and 2 book chapters, which has attracted more than 500,000 reads on the ResearchGate and obtained about 4,100 citations on Google Scholar. Before we begin, I would like to inform you that we have around 2 hours to listen to Professor Aminul's talk on conducting systematic literature review and also including the question and answer session. During the session, please bear in mind that you should mute your microphone. Your questions will be delivered after presentation concluded by our distinguished speaker, or else you can also write down your question on the chat box. Yeah. Without further ado, let us now hear from Professor Aminul Islam talk on how to conduct systematic literature review. Professor Aminul Islam, I hand the session over to you to begin. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Desti Fitriani, right? All right, and also Ms. Aiza for inviting me and organizing this event. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, let me start. I always feel very good, as I was saying earlier, that when I get invitation from USM, it gives me different kind of feeling as I'm an alumni of USM. I did my MBA as well as PhD from USM, so I had a very different kind of feeling. All right, so it is a very special moment for me. All right, getting invited by you after 2 months again, going back to USM through a virtual meeting. All right, today's topic is a very important topic, it's a literature review. And as I told Aiza, that I will do my presentation in a way so that wider audience can be benefited. Aiza basically wanted a bit advanced level of systematic literature review. So I said I'd rather prefer to make it in a way so that many people can be benefited rather than a few. All right, so this session would be beneficial for those of you just beginning your PhD study or even thinking of doing PhD, would be beneficial for you, as well as those of you who are in the middle of doing literature review or even finalizing your draft to submit for final viva overseas. So everyone should be equally benefited. That's the way I have prepared the slide for today's session, okay? So before I share the slide, let me say a few words. Basically, I would like to welcome everyone. Those of you who have joined from outside USM. We do have participants from Australia. I see there's one from Nigeria, a few from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, and many other countries. So I'd like to welcome you all to the session. Thank you very much for joining us in a very short notice, actually. And number two, I do have a video YouTube channel, a platform for research and development. That's the name of my YouTube channel, platform for research and development. You can just type it in the YouTube, you'll see my YouTube channel there. And I do have about, I think, almost 60 videos there, all about research methodology and research methods. Okay, starting from nuts and bolts of research, introduction to research, up to final viva voce. The most popular video there is how to prepare presentation slides. And also, there's one video also available there, common questions raised or asked during final viva voce session. Those are the most popular videos there available for you. So you can subscribe and get notified when the videos are uploaded. All right, so with that and today's session, I think Ms. Aizan will be recording the video. So later you'd like to have the video, you can request them. And the slide I have already shared with Ms. Aiza. So those of you who have contact with Ms. Aiza, you can definitely get the slide from her. And once I get the record, I can upload in my YouTube channel. So the video will be available there for you. And under the video, I will put the slide also for you. So even you can download the slide from there. I always do that. All my videos, I keep the slide beneath of the video. Many people complain, they say, why do you put the slide there? It's your, you put so much effort to prepare the videos, the slide, and you are sharing with the student and other participants. And many people are using your slide to teach in their class. I think that's something very good. Knowledge is for sharing. So whatever I gather, I have to share with people. Otherwise, the purpose of gaining knowledge is defeated, right? So the purpose of gaining knowledge is to share with others. All right, so there's all the slides available under the video that I have posted. Okay, let me go to now share the screen and start the presentation. Okay, can you share? Can you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay. Let me go to the slideshow. All right. Is it clear now?
Yes.
So that's the title for today, Conducting Systematic Literature Review. And
yes,
so
very
I'll start from defining the research as I do always. Okay. All right. So the secret of success is to know something nobody else knows. I always start literature review chapters, the webinars with this slide. The reason I put it is because we do research to find out a solution of an identified and defined research problem. If there's no problem, we do not do any research. So that's the most important part of our research. And even up to the final viva session, we'll always struggle to answer the question, what is your problem? What are the issues? Those sort of questions. So at the end of our research, people would like to see something totally new. Okay, so that's what you have to have, something new knowledge or new methodology, something new policies to be recommended, and all should be shown. Okay, so the first few slides are very common that I do, but don't worry, I have a lot of new slides for today's session. So this is a bookish definition I always mention. Research is an organized, objective, and systematic process to study a particular problem that needs a solution. Okay, so I put it in a red mark because that's what is important. Research is undertaken to solve an existing problem. All right, and it must be an organized, objective, and systematic process. Research is not something that I just feel like doing a research and I just start. It's not like that. And even if you start, you have to, you must follow a certain very systematic and organized way of conducting research. So today's one, even with systematic literature review, I will be looking at systematic way of doing the literature review and systematic way of writing the literature review. Today's session is very special because those systematic literature review webinars I have conducted before, the focus was not more on writing, but today's session I put a lot of focus on how to write or present your literature review. Okay. All right. I won't spend much time here. So basically, when you are doing research, we say it's a systematic effort to gain new knowledge, a movement from known to unknown. You are getting something totally new, which was unknown before. That's what you want. And search for new knowledge of facts through objective, systematic, scientific method of finding solution to your problem. This is something interesting to me. We are looking at implicit question, explicit answer, and data to answer the question. So you have implicit question, and you are finding an explicit answer, and you are answering that with the data. Okay. Now, these are simple meaning of research. We say re-research, searching again. So whatever research you undertake, millions of people may have done the research, and yet you will be doing the research again. All right, because things are changing too fast and so much that even experts have difficulty, coping with the changes. So even the research have been taken before because of hyper turbulent environment. So much changes are taking place. So you'll be doing research again. We search for a new idea to answer new questions to new answers to an old question. Okay, to search for new answers to an old question, to question the existing answer of a question, and search for new answers. And I give example always COVID-19. This is the fourth coronavirus, right? We had three before, and we did have answers to those three, but for the new one, we don't have the answer yet. And I think we were aware the latest variant COVID-19 that is diagnosed in many countries are very deadly now. And vaccine, those are being already invented. We are not very sure whether that's going to work or not. Why we do research? Because social realities evolve and change, because ideas evolve and change, and because solutions to a problem are contestable. Okay, those of you who have joined me, basically you all are very educated, very experienced. So I don't think I have to explain all this one by one. All right, so I leave it for you to ponder on it and look at it. Okay, so rather I focus more on literature review. This is very common that components of empirical research. Every research starts with research problem, and then we'll translate the problem into research questions and researchable research objective. And then followed by, we'll have background literature, theory, assumption, and variable. That's where the literature review comes in, okay? And then followed by, from literature review, we'll develop a framework, models, whatever, we construct hypotheses, and it goes on, all right? So these are the important components of an empirical research that we keep in mind. So today's one is a very primary one. And also, many students will always ask us, which chapter should we write first? Personally, I will always tell a student, write the chapter 2 first, literature review, not chapter 1. If you are doing writing chapter 2 first, then writing chapter 1 will be fun. But if you are writing chapter 1 first, you'll be struggling a lot, you'll be suffering a lot, because every time you need these new papers, you will be modifying and extending, and so what's the point of doing that? I would rather write a chapter 2 first, and then I understand and get control over the area of research. Then I come back to chapter 1, and then I go to chapter 3. Personally, I even strongly believe that we should write chapter 2 first, then go to chapter 3, then only come back to chapter 1. It would be more fun. Few of my PhD students have done that, and they say, Prof, this is very right, we write chapter 2 first, then move to chapter 3, come back to chapter 1, even more fun. But again, I'll leave it to you. Different people have a different understanding and different way of doing things. So it is very flexible. It's up to you, all right? Now, this is something that I have developed and I explain, but I won't take time for this webinar. This is a tree analogy. I compare research with a tree, and I put literature review at the leaves of the tree. Basically, if you look at the tree, what beautifies tree is the leaves. Okay, it's the leaves. So in a research, the beautification of the research is done by literature review. So literature review is one of the most important, element of a research. And it beautifies the work, because through the literature review, we will find the research gap. From there, you will define your research problem. From there, you will construct your theoretical framework, and all that happen. So whether anything wrong with the tree or not, you will find it through the leaves of a tree, right? When you see the leaves are dropping too many, and then the leaves are getting discolored, you know something is wrong with the tree. So whether a research is strong or not can be actually determined looking at the literature review alone. So that's important. The literature review is, all right, and that's the session all about today, all about literature review. As I said earlier, I will start from very basic, and then I will move into advanced level of literature review. Let us understand what is literature review. Basically, literature review, the term literature means the works we consult in order to understand and investigate our research problem. So the basic idea of literature review is consulting works of others. Okay, that's what we do. Okay, so whoever done research in my area of research, then I'm consulting with those research. So I'm reading papers, reading books, reading newspapers, reading annual reports, any published things that you have, consulting with them. And we are getting data, right? And if you are doing qualitative research, while you are talking to people, trying to understand the problem through talking and discussion, consultation with people, that is also literature review, right? Part of literature, you are getting things from the experience of people, all right? So that's a very basic thing that you have to understand. But literature review is basically consulting work with works with of others. So literature review surveys, book, scholarly articles, any sources relevant to particular issue, area of research, okay? And it provides a description, summary, and critical evaluation of those work. This is very important. When you read literature review of a PhD student, when you go as internal, external examiner, or even as a supervisor, the weakest part is the critical evaluation of literature. Students are good in describing and summarizing the literature, but most of these students, majority students are weak, I won't say very weak in evaluating, critical evaluation of those work. So I see Prof. Zamri, when he comes an external examiner, even when he was my supervisor, the way he look at it, he will be always pinpointing this very specific weak point that all the students have, There's not much of things that we say on our own. So we take things from people and we just put a summary and we just stop there. We do not really critically evaluate those work being done. Finding out what could be some of the weaknesses or some strength of those research and all that. All right, that gives us the avenue to conduct a new research. The purpose of literature review is to gain understanding of existing research and debates relevant to the particular topic or area of study. Again, we are coming back. We are understanding what has been done and what has not been done. And that's what will help us to find out the research gap, okay? Or literature gap. And we are looking at focusing on debates. That's very important. I'm emphasizing again. We've got to look at the debates relevant to the particular area. What are the debates, argument there? Because when you read papers, some papers say positive relationship, some say negative relationship, some findings say no relationship, some say yes, strong relationship. So there are many different findings are there, and everybody, when they present their results, they will have their own inference and argument why rationalism or rational or justification why the hypothesis was not accepted or rejected, why positive, negative. Those things you will find from there, and you have to understand those debates, and from there you have to pick up and you have to stand to a point. You will have your standpoint, okay? Now, literature review is a survey of scholarly sources on a specific topic, provides an overview of current knowledge, allowing you to identify theories, methods, and gaps. Now we are moving into a bit advanced level. Now, literature review even will help us to find the relevant theories and also the methods of doing research. That will give us the clue of what kind of method we should be adopting to undertake the research that we have decided, right, to undertake. And then writing literature review involves finding relevant publication, critically analyzing them and explaining what you found. So again, critically analyzing them and explaining what you found. So you are going to say in your own words It's not like Amin and 2010 conducted research and found out this, and followed by another person, followed by another person. That's a common way of writing. I won't say this is wrong, but in between you have to have your own understanding, explanation, your own analysis, and finally a summary of all those research being conducted before. Okay. Okay. Let me move to the next topic. Why literature review? Basically, literature review help you to have a preliminary research of existing material. Through literature review, you should be able to have existing material in place, right? Preliminary research. It helps you to organize valuable ideas and findings through literature review. Literature review also helps you to identify other research that may be in progress. This is something very important. When you take up a research and then you feel like you are doing something new, your novelty, originality is there. Without knowing, that some other people have already undertaken this research, and before you complete, they may have, they publish the paper out there, and your study would be outdated. So it is also important for you to know what are the research in progress. Okay, to generate research ideas and to develop critical perspectives. This is another slide of why we do literature review, because it helps you to get ideas and identify gaps. It helps you to get an overview of the area of research. It gives you some kind of feeling of what is doable and what is worthwhile. There are many research areas which looks to be very interesting but not doable because you cannot find related literature, you cannot find literature relevant theories and many other things. Okay. I think you can hear me properly, right? Because there is participant cannot hear me. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, Prof, we can.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Participant who cannot hear me may have problem with his own microphone. Okay. So literature review also help us to get a feeling of what is doable. As I was saying, many times, especially when a new PhD student come to see us and say, we will ask the student, what do you like to do? The student say, Prof, I want to do this kind of research. I say, are you sure? It's going to be very complicated, because he's completely new. He may have problem of scarcity of literature. He say, Prof, I'm going to do PhD once in a lifetime. I don't mind, Prof. I want to really work hard on it. I say, okay. You can try, but you will see the student coming back after 3 months or 6 months, looks down and said, Prof, I'm sorry, it looks like I cannot really find a good number of articles and theories and all that. I have to change the topic. So while you do literature review, that also helps you on that, okay? Then also it helps you to reinvent the wheel, meaning that doing the same thing, replicating exactly similar what people have done. And at the end of it, if you want to publish in a journal, you cannot show the novelty, you cannot show the originality of the research. And if it's PhD, final viva will say you will be sweating, you'll be struggling. You cannot really prove that you got something totally new. And then you may be able to understand your research better. Okay. Now, this is another slide. This is from Saunders. Basically, comprehensive literature review is essential because number one, it provides up-to-date understanding of the subject and significance and structure, identifies the kind of research method that have been used. So now even you will understand through literature review what kind of methods people used before and what kind of method you are going to adopt, okay? It's informed by views and research experts in the field. You are going to get different views from research experts around the globe. Assist in formulation of research topics, question and direction. Provides a basis for subsequent research, findings can be compared. So later I'm going to show you how it works. I do have a template to show you. We will not only be reviewing the literature, we will be doing a critical analysis and reviewing, and also we will make a summary, and then we will also compare the findings of previous researchers, okay? Now, let us quickly look at literature review process. This is a simpler one for the beginners. Later, I will have discussion on systematic literature review process differently. Okay, so this is a normal process that a beginner will follow, right? This is Saunders et al. Again has given this, and I love this. It is a simple way of describing the literature review process. So we start with research questions and objectives. So you have to have some question in mind, right? When you take up the research, definitely you have some questions in mind that you'd like to solve. You'd like to have an answer to those questions. Being researchers is always, your mind has got to be always inquisitive. You have to always keep asking questions, and looking for answers of the questions, okay? So you have to have certain questions in mind, and then you define the parameters of research, the scope of research, then you generate and define the keywords, then you conduct the search, you obtain literature, you will evaluate, you record, and then you draft, you start drafting the review, okay? So there are certain stages already mentioned here. So first step is you need to have certain kind of research questions and objectives in mind. And then from there, you decide the parameter, that's the scope of your research. From there, you define the keywords. Say, for example, if you are doing a research, say, for example, on job satisfaction, so you know the research questions, what are the research questions there? People are not satisfied. Why? There are many other things there which you have been questioned. It could be salary, it could be leadership style, it could be working environment and all that. So your parameter is job satisfaction, but keywords are basically motivation, leadership style, salary, and all that. So using those keywords, you will conduct search and you obtain literature, you read them, evaluate them, you record it. So I'm going to show you a template, how do you record it later. And the next question is, many students will ask us, when should I start writing or drafting? Okay. So Saunders recommended that you should start drafting from the very beginning. Even once you read one paper, start drafting, okay? So you start drafting the review. And then you redefine the parameter and generate and redefine the keywords, and it continues, conduct search, obtain literature, evaluate, record, update, and revise the draft. So your draft is started after one paper review, and you are updating after reading one more, or you start your draft after reading 5 papers and continue, after any papers you read. And that process continues unless and until you end or reach a situation whereby you really understand the research area, you really identify the research problem which is researchable, you have constructed the research questions, research objectives, and we started, to have feeling that these are the theories can be used, these are the research design can be used, these are the methodology can be used, all sort of understanding you have, then I have to stop already reading papers. Okay? So I am answering 2 questions here that many students will ask. First one is, when should I start drafting? When you finish reading the first paper, you should start drafting already. You just put the sketch, whatever you get from the paper, okay? And I'll show you how to do that. And when should you stop? The question, when should I stop doing literature review? So once you have complete, comprehensive, holistic understanding of the research area, you know exactly what the research problem is, you know exactly what are the research questions are, what are the methods can be used, what are the underpinning theories can be used, what are the research philosophy, research paradigms, all that can be used. Once you have understanding of all that, you should stop reading already, okay? Now, literature review search strategy is the same, right? Earlier, as Saunders has shown, you define your parameters, you generate keywords, you discuss your research, brainstorm for more ideas, and you even construct a decision tree, or you can put it in a template. I'm going to show you a template later. Now, these are the steps in literature review. There are basically 5 steps for the beginner. So we search for relevant literature. We evaluate the sources. This is very important. It's important where are you taking the literature. Very important. You cannot take aside predatory journal. I think some journals are there, paid journal. You just pay and they publish. They do not look at the quality. They do not even bother to do the peer review and all that. There are many journals available now, predatory journals. You should not be citing them. Many external examiners who are very good, they will catch you on that. You have cited the predatory journal. You will be in trouble. Why did you cite that journal? So how to know which journal is predatory or not, that is not the topic for me today. So I will leave it to you. I'll leave it to you to know. Definitely your supervisors know it. They will help you how to identify whether the journal is a predatory journal or not. I must mention here something very good with USM. USM does not really want you to cite only ISI and Scopus as long as the journal is peer reviewed. It's acceptable. All right, this is something very, very good I like with School of Management USM. There are many universities where they want the journals to be Scopus on ISI, but I do not know why. Because ISI and Scopus, these all are basically business. We know they are in business. And unfortunately, we all academicians falling in the trap of their business, publishing paper, paying them and all that. Unfortunately, we have fallen into that trap. Some people are making millions and billions of dollars of money by publishing journals and all that, by doing Scopus indexing and all that, and connecting with university ranking and all that. So you've got no choice. We are falling in the trap. I hope there will be some time academicians will come out from that trap. Not falling in the trap of paying money and publishing the papers. The paper is a good quality paper. Why should I pay? Why should I pay? Rather, they should pay me for doing the research and publishing paper in their journal. Okay. Something very unfortunate, that's what is happening with us now. Okay. So evaluate the sources. Where do you get the materials? Identify the theme, debates, and gaps. Later, I'm going to show you how the contents should be organized in literature review. That's where you will find this all very meaningful, okay? Identify themes, debates, and gaps. Outline the structure. Write your literature review. Even though, as I said, these steps are very good for the beginner, but it could be even very good for even advanced level, keeping that steps in mind. Search for relevant materials, evaluate the source, identify theme, debates, gaps, outline the structure of your literature, then you start writing. Now, we say a good literature review does not summarize the sources. It analyzes, synthesizes, critically evaluates to give a clear picture of the state of knowledge on the subject. I have been emphasizing from the beginning on this. You got to analyze, synthesize, and critically evaluate so that it gives a clear picture of the state of knowledge on this area. This one I will quickly go through. Transforming your ideas into researchable topic, right? Your research questions all will start with your own intuition. When you come out with the topic and propose it to do a PhD research, how do you get that? It comes from your intuition. I want to do research in finance, but in finance there are so many different areas. So definitely it comes from your subconscious or conscious mind. You look at marketability of yourself after doing PhD. You look at your own interests. You look at your own knowledge level and understanding of the area. There are many things. This all comes from your own intuition, subconscious or conscious mind. And then we'll consult with, experienced people. You do prior research and we consult with people with authority. This all will help you definitely converting or transforming your ideas into researchable topics. So this one, I'm not going to talk about it a lot. So I leave it for you to look through. Now, when you do literature review, there are different approaches to it. There are different approaches. So let me go through that. Basically, in literature review or in research, we have two different approaches to it. One we call deductive, other one we call it inductive. Deductive approach is basically we develop theoretical conceptual framework from the literature available, and then we'll collect the data and we'll test the constructed hypothesis based on the theory. So deductive research is done using the existing material available, existing theories available, and then we will develop a framework, and then we construct hypotheses from those framework, and then we'll collect data and test, and conclude whether accepted, rejected. That is deductive. Whereby inductive is different. We are not taking from what is there. Rather, we have questions in mind, and we have defined research questions, identified and defined research questions, and we collect data, and then we propose certain hypotheses or propose a theory. Okay, so it's totally different, inductive. So when you do literature review, definitely these approaches will define what kind of literature review you are going to have, what kind of approaches you're going to do. Even when you decide on the content, the structure or format of your literature, what kind of format or structure you are going to have. Okay, so inductive and deductive. Let me explain this with many times I have explained, but I know there are many new participants there. I hope those of you who have attended my session earlier will excuse me, but I have to share this screen even though it's been shown before. Now, this is deductive approach. We start with the theory. From the theory, we construct hypothesis. Then we collect data and we make a conclusion whether accepted, rejected. Okay, and that's how I depicted. I put an analogy. You are landed with a beautiful garden. Everything is there, but you pick up the flowers that you need or you like. This is deductive. Everything is there. So the theories are there. You pick up a theory, you construct hypothesis, you collect data, you test it and prove it. Okay. So this is like that. You are in a garden and everything is there. You pick up only those relevant flowers or the flowers that you like, and then then you prove it. You know, these flowers are good, or good smell, or color is good, and all that. Okay. And inductive research, you start with observing a phenomenon. So now this is what you have in mind. You observe it, something you feel from your conscious or subconscious mind. That's what you call intuition, right? And then from there, we analyze the pattern and themes. Then you formulate relationship, you develop a theory. This is inductive. This is definitely, it is a qualitative, right? The deductive is quantitative. That we have to keep in mind. Again, I will have little discussion on it afterwards. And here I do put an analogy here. Like you are landing in a solid ground, there's nothing there, and then you're plowing the land, you're preparing the ground, and then you plant the tree, you are fertilizing the tree, then you are watering the tree, tree become bigger, and later that's what you have. So this is what you wanted. You planted everything. You started with predetermined question in mind. What kind of flowers I want? So based on that, you prepare the land. You put fertilizer, you planted the tree, you put a fertilizer, you water the tree, and then at the end, you see whether you got some kind of good flowers there or not, which are not existing now, or whether those flowers are needed for you, okay? So I hope that with this analogy, participants who are with me now will have clear understanding of what is inductive and deductive research, okay? So inductive, you start with zero and you end up with something. But deductive, you start with many things. And at the end, you deduct and you come out with a small solution to a problem that you have, okay? All right, let me move on to a different area. Not many people speak. The ontology and epistemology. In most of the PhDs, I think we do see a lot of good works when it comes to theoretical underpinning. But unfortunately, we do not really see a lot on philosophical underpinning of research. A PhD is basically, we call it a doctor of philosophy. We do not call doctor of finance or doctor of management, doctor of philosophy. So there must be some kind of philosophical underpinning of our research. And I suppose that we are very weak in that part. And that's why I am taking effort, making some efforts to promote this in my webinars, that it is equally, or it is more important than the theoretical underpinning, the philosophical underpinning of research. So ontology is basically, what is the truth? What is the problem? So you like to find out the truth. That is ontology. Okay. Epistemology is what and how can I find, what is the truth? So finding out the truth is epistemology. Finding out the knowledge is epistemology. Okay. And then we move to a theoretical perspective. What approaches can we take? So now we are going into inductive or deductive approaches. Okay. Then we are going to do the methodology. What procedure can we take? It is going to be quantitative or qualitative. If your approaches is deductive, then it's quantitative. If approach is inductive, is going to be qualitative. And for methodology, move to method. What tools are you going to use to acquire knowledge? So now we are going on the research design. Okay, it's exploratory, explanatory, or whatnot. And finally, we are collecting the data. Okay. This slide, even though is a very small, slide, but it has a lot of implications to our research. Okay. I wish I could have more time to explain this slide, but since my topic is different, so I won't be spending too much time on it. Possibly soon, I think in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to have an webinar on ontology and epistemology, organized by one of the Iraqi universities. Possibly, if you are connected with my YouTube channel or even in my handphone, you should be able to join me, okay, on ontology, epistemology, webinar on it. So I will have 2 hours discussion on ontology and epistemology. Hopefully, you should be able to join that, okay? Now, let me move on. So when it comes to philosophical underpinning, so these are the 3 groups of philosophy there. We have positivists, constructivists, and pragmatists. Positivists believe that there is a single reality. Okay, so there's a single reality, so meaning that there is only one truth. But constructivism, they say no, there could be more than one truth. There's no single reality, okay? So the first one possibly is quantitative. If you are positivist is going to be quantitative because there's only one truth, whether accepted or rejected. That's what we are going to look at, the hypothesis. But constructivist is different. There's no single truth, so it's going to be qualitative. So you are going to moving into deeper into the problem understanding, and you may have many different findings and dimensions from there. Okay, and you propose certain hypotheses from there. In positivism, you test hypotheses and you just conclude. So you have just one truth. But constructivists, you have more than one truth. And pragmatists, basically, they believe that reality is constantly renegotiated, debated, and interpreted. So this one is mixed approach. So you may mix up with the qualitative and quantitative study together when you are adopting pragmatist paradigm of this. Let me show you another one. This is a summary of a lot of it. Let me quickly go through this also. We have positivists. This is one philosophers. Other one is interpretivism, positivism and interpretivism. So even positivism, we do have 2 different groups, positivism and post-positivism. And interpretivism, we divide into 2 again, interpretivism and constructivism. Positivism is basically quantitative research because you are looking at one reality or more than one reality, right? And if it is interpretivism, is going to be qualitative research. So interpretivism is more inductive and positivism is more deductive. Okay, so we have to align that. We have to start with
Hello, Prof. Hello, Prof. Please, somebody is interrupting.
Come to approaches, inductive, deductive. From there, you come down to research method, quantitative or qualitative. Then you move down to research design. So there is a clear-cut flow. So you start with the philosophical underpinning of research, then you move to, slowly approaches, and then you move into the theories, underpinning theories and research design and all that. So there is a clear-cut sequence and flow of research that got to be clearly and well understood. Okay. I think with that, let me move into next slide. As I have been arguing from the beginning that literature review, just a literature review is not enough. You've got to be critical. So how can you make a literature review critical? Let me go through that. Now, critical literature review, basically, it helps you to, in a critical literature review, basically, we should be able to see refinement of research questions and objectives, okay? We should be able to discover recommendation for further research. Any paper that you read, at the end of the paper, there is always one section, recommendation for further research. And I strongly recommend always, being a researcher, when you read, this part should be read very well. That's where you will find some new variables being proposed. So that helps you to find out something new and test something new. So researchers will say that our research was confined into this, and these are the few variables could be tested. Okay, so that one got to be really understood. A critical review also help you to avoid repeating works already undertaken. And a critical literature review also provide insight into strategies and techniques. Okay, so this is based on Gall et al. 2006. However, Saunders 2009, they proposed that the key to a critical literature review should demonstrate what we have read, understood, and evaluated. All right. Participants, those of you whose microphone is on, can you kindly please unmute your microphone, please? Sorry, mute your microphone. So those of you microphone is on, kindly please mute your microphone. I see in the chat box many of them are complaining. Please mute your microphone. So a critical literature review should demonstrate what you have read, understood, and evaluated. And why did my what happens to my screen suddenly? Okay, let me share the screen. Sorry, somehow. Okay, I think it's already shared again. All right, let me continue. So that's where I was. So it links different ideas from cohesive and coherent manner. That's what we will be talking about always, right? The sequence and logical sequence and good flow in presentation. So a good literature review should be providing that link of different ideas with very cohesive and coherent manner. And a good literature review would also make clear connection to your research objectives and subsequent empirical materials. Now, many literature review of students, when you go through, we see they do present based on the research questions. Some present based on research subjects, almost similar. But there are different approaches of presenting your literature review, which I will cover today later. Okay, so hold on for a while. I will have clear description of how a literature review should be presented. All right. Now, the critical perspective when you do a literature review based on Wallace and Ray, you must have capacity to evaluate what you read, and we must have the capacity to relate what you read. These two are very important. Huh? So in order to be able to have the capacity to evaluate our English language, right? Most of the papers are in English. We have to have good English so that we understand and evaluate them. And just understanding evaluation is not enough. After that, we got to relate it. Okay, we got to relate it to the other parts of research, the literature that we put it in the contents or structure of literature review. Okay, so one is evaluation, the other one is relating it. You know, when you read a paper, the paper is very long, sometimes even 30-40 pages long. We don't take everything, we take little thing, right, after evaluation, and then we got to relate it with the other elements of materials that we find from other resources. Now, these slides I will also quickly go through. When you read paper, basically, or if you want to be critical, then you should be able to have these skills, right? You should have these skills. You should be able to preview the materials that you gain, whether it's something relevant, it's worth reading or not. When you obtain a journal paper, you should preview, and from the previewing, you should be able to identify whether something relevant to you. If not, then you should stop. You go for some other material. So once you get it in the first stage, if you preview and you find something relevant, something useful, then you start reading. So you start annotating, you start underlining and highlighting. Not everything is useful for you. Not everything is important. When you write paper, you know, because we have to make it longer. So sometimes we put certain things which may not be that important, but we have to put that in. Become part and parcel of our life, right? In our body, there are many things we feel are not that important, but it's still there, right? That beautify your figure. So it's like that. So in a research paper, we will do that. Sorry again, I'm out of the presentation. I share the slide again. I'm not sure why it's happening. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm back again. I'm not sure where the presentation stopped suddenly. Anyway, I'm back. So if you preview the paper, make it relevant, find it relevant, you start reading, then we underline the important parts. So we highlight the important parts of research you think that would be relevant to us. And then we summarize it, and then we start comparing and contrasting. I explain it in different ways. Sometimes I say that a paper should be read for 4 times. First reading would be previewing. So from there, we will decide whether I should continue reading this paper or not, okay? So that would be the first reading, that is previewing. And after that, if I find it is useful, something relevant, then I move to second reading. So second reading would be annotating. I start underlining and highlighting, right? So that will be second stage. Third reading would be summarizing. When you read third time, you will start summarizing the paper, okay? And then fourth reading would be after more than one paper reading. We start comparing one with another paper and see what are the comparison and contrasting findings are there, okay? So a paper should be read for 4 times. That's what I always advocate, strongly advocates, okay? Read a paper for 4 times. So I have explanation all these, so I'm not going to read or explain further. All right. Let me now move on to systematic literature review. So far, I have gone through what is literature review, why we do literature review, the steps in literature review, the critical literature review, approaches in literature review. I have go through all that. So now let me move into systematic literature review. All right. Now, in short, we call it SLR, right? SLR is a review of clearly formulated question. So systematic literature review is undertaken when only you have clearly formulated research question with you, okay? And that uses a systematic and explicit method of identify, select, and critically appraise relevant research, okay? So if you look at my earlier presentation, almost similar, right? But there's a bit different thing up there, which I will explain to you. A systematic review aims at providing complete, exhausting summary of current literature relevant to the research questions, right? But because at the end of any research, we should have answers to the research question. Okay, so the literature review can be guided through the research questions. So here we will be conducting a systematic review to create a structure question. Even through the literature review, we'll structure research question, right? We will define or define research questions. And we'll perform a search of literature, and later we'll do analysis, evaluation, and finally summarize it, and then we write it up, right? All right, so these are the stages in the systematic literature review process. Identify of the need for a review. We prepare a proposal for review. We develop a review protocol. Then move to the second stage, conducting a review. We identify research. We select studies. Then we assess the quality of the materials we obtain. Then we'll extract, right, and monitoring the progress and data synthesis. So here we'll decide on inclusion or exclusion. What do you like to include, how do you like to exclude, okay? So that will take place here. And it's just 3, basically reporting and dissemination. So that's where we'll develop a comprehensive summary, and then we'll start writing, okay? We put that in the writing. Now, this is something that I really want you to understand, the step-by-step procedure for systematic literature review. I have summarized it from various sources. So I'm going to show you, I think, about 6 steps, I guess, if I remember. Step 1 is basically you have to identify your research questions. So formulate a clear, well-defined research questions with appropriate scope. So you have to have your research question well-defined, because from there you will find the keywords, parameters and keywords and all that, right? So define terminologies. When you start searching for literature, then definitely you need the terminologies, right? From there, you will find the literature. So we say define existing reviews on the topic to inform development of research question. Further, identify gaps and confirm we are not duplicating the efforts of previous reviews, okay? So that's step number 1. You are identifying research question, but it's not that simple, right? We have many things here. Through the research question, we should be able to identify the keywords and terminologies, and from there we identify the research gap. From there only we start going to the next one. Step 2, define inclusion and exclusion criteria. Here in step 2, you will clearly state the criteria that you will use to determine whether or not this study will be included in your research. The paper you are reading, whether you should be taking it or you are going to dropping it, okay? So you have to have certain criteria. What makes this paper useful, relevant to me? If that paper fulfill the criteria that you set, you accept the paper and you keep it, okay, in your subsequent processes, okay, and stages. So you've got to look at, when you look at a paper, you look at study population, study design, invention types, comparison groups, measured outcomes. So you got to look at thoroughly the paper. That's what you are saying. You are evaluating the paper. You have to have the capacity to evaluate, and then you have to have the capacity to relate. So that's what you will have here now. So you are defining inclusion or the exclusion criteria, whether you should be including this paper in the literature review or you're going to drop it from your literature review. Okay, number 3, search for relevant studies, right? So now you are running into the database that you have identified as relevant to your topic. You may consult with the librarians of your university. They help a lot, you know. You can talk to the librarians on what are the databases available for you. The university that you are attached to, they do subscribe many databases, and you may not know how to use them. And even sometimes you may not know that what are the databases are subscribed by your university library. Talk to the librarian, and they will help you finding out good databases for you. And also, not all databases are relevant to you. Some databases are good for science, some for engineering, some for medical, some for social science, some for business. So you got to identify what are the databases are useful to you. So you can always talk to the librarian. And whatever you get it, you can always here use a reference manager such as endnote and mendeley prior to screening. Okay, so there are many actually, but I put just 2 highlighted in red color. Endnote and mendeley could be helpful. I think mendeley is more popular in Malaysia. Endnote can be also used. Okay, but mendeley is more advanced one. You can use mendeley also. It helps a lot because you have to keep the referencing of which paper you are reading, the full citation and all that. Step 4 in SLR or systematic literature review, you select studies for inclusion based on predetermined criteria, right? Earlier, step 2, you will be developing the criteria to include or exclude. But here you are already excluding or including, right? Based on the criteria that you have set. Then step 5, you will be extracting the data from excluded studies. As I'm going to show you or introduce with you a template that helps you to summarize a paper. You can use a spreadsheet or even a systematic review software. There are few softwares available. Does good job, but personally, I do not recommend anyone to use a software to do a literature review. I have my own reason because I strongly feel that if you use a software, you may not be getting really into the literature. You might not be really reading and trying to really understand, evaluate, and analyze all that. If software does a bit of it, so you might be losing the opportunity to gain more on the paper. So personally, I do not recommend any software, and that's why I'm not proposing any here. I would rather feel that if you use Grammarly for proofreading and all that, and Quillbot, Quilbot. Quillbot would be very good for paraphrasing or rephrasing. So use that too would be enough. Okay, and the rest you have to do it. Do it on your own, by your own. Okay, so that would be very useful. Okay, that would be very useful. So Quillbot would be a very software. I do recommend. Quillbot will help you to rephrase and help you to also check the plagiarism that you have. It will be very helpful. Participants, those of you, your microphone is on, kindly please mute it, please. Some participants are still commenting on it. Please mute your microphone. All right. And then step 6, we will summarize the findings and assess the quality of evidence. Now we are summarizing. So now we will clearly, we will have a clear presentation of findings, including detailed methodologies such as, search strategies used, selection criteria, and all that. So these 6 steps are very systematic, as you see, right? Very systematic. So if you start with stage 1, so you are identifying the research question, you follow with developing criteria to include or exclude the paper, you search for relevant studies. Now you are excluding, deciding on exclusion and inclusion. You are extracting data after deciding which one to be included, and then you are summarizing. So these are the 6 steps basically in systematic literature review that I found through my study. So if you compare this one with earlier, the steps in literature review, these are very different one, right? At the beginning, I have discussed about steps in literature review, which are very simple one, but not as systematic as the one here. And that's why we call it a systematic literature review, all right? Okay, to me, Today's webinar, this one is the most important part. This way, a student struggle a lot, and a student gets a lot of complaint from examiners and supervisors as well. Okay, so organizing the contents of literature review. How would you organize? You have read papers, you understood it, you have structured the materials, but how would you present it now? Okay, you read so much and you know so much. You have so much of materials now. We see sometimes, like last month, I have attended a proposal defense in my university. The student proposal defense draft is 250 pages. Can you imagine? 250 pages. And we all had a shock. When my PhD thesis, finally, it was only 198 pages. So thin. It's not thick thesis, you know. But this student, his proposal defense alone is 250 pages. And I was one of the internal examiners. So I said, okay, let me help him to make it right. So finally, I have asked him to drop the pages which are not really relevant. So when he dropped it, it has become only 150. So 100 pages that were there are not really relevant and not useful. The coherence in presentation, the sequence in presentation, the flow in the presentation are not there. You know, they are not well connected, and all that happened. All right. So this part is very important. Organizing the content of literature review. So these all should be in the content. Key academic theories, current knowledge of the area, clear referencing, as well as acknowledging research of others, right? This should be included in the content. This is from Saunders, also recommended that in the content, you should also have assessment of strengths and weaknesses of theories. That's where I think many of us are very poor. We'll talk about the theory, but all theories are based on assumptions. And those theories you are using in your research have been proposed sometimes before. So at that time, the assumption they took, and currently the assumptions are different. Things have changed so much. So you have to look at the strengths and weaknesses of the theories, okay? Clear understanding of the topic. The content should also be, should include the citation of all key studies in the subject territory. The content should have clear indication of how review links to your research questions. As I said earlier, right, some student does it, especially qualitative research, they will flow the literature review content based on the research question. Definition of boundaries of research, selection, synthesis of existing argument to develop a new perspective, and through gradual refinement, a clear demarcation of your research problem. So at the end of your literature review, the research gap is clearly identified. So that should be there in the content also, all right? So that's how you should be organizing a literature review. I'm going to explain this again, why I propose this. You should start your literature review with the dependent variable, because that is the central theme, right? Your research problem is basically being postulated, being translated in your dependent variable. And that's why I have problem with many students. I remember I have a student doing a PhD on, I think it was on corporate social responsibility and looking at organization performance. And when I asked him, what is your study about? He used to always argue with me, my study is about CSR. So I said, what is your dependent variable? He said, from performance, organizational performance. I said, that is your research problem. Where does the research problem comes from? He said, organizational performance. I said, that is your research. So your independent variables are the issues. These are the issues that define your problem. So research problem is the dependent variable, and issues are independent variable. Be clear on it. Be clear on it. So you should start your literature review with the dependent variable, definition of that, and slowly move on from there. You have to ensure, as I say, good flow and logical sequence. Good flow and logical sequence. It speaks a lot. And then after dependent variable, you have to, followed by, you will start your independent variables, followed by mediating, moderating, which is there, and followed by control, even if it is there. And finally, you will have an excellent summary as a conclusion. That's where you will highlight the research gaps, literature gaps. Okay. All right. Let me relate with this one with next slides. A few more slides are there on it. All right. So this is hourglass model. If you are presenting literature, You should have introduction more and very little on methods and results. You should have more on discussion. That's where students are very weak. You should introduce your topic and look into the methods and results people use. That's not your concern. Okay, so your concern is there, but a bit less. But your concern more on a bit more explaining that more, because you are evaluating and okay, give me a second. I think a student wants something. Okay. All right. So you have an introduction. You start introducing the topic more slowly. Then you will have methods and results. But finally, you should have more talking about. That's what makes it critical. All right. That's what we'd like to see more. Okay. You are standing on a point. You are evaluating, finding strengths and weaknesses and all that, and you are making a standpoint. Okay. That's important. Oh no. Give me a second. I think something is wrong. I have to stop this. Okay, I can move on now. Okay, so if you do that, if you are very critical, doing good evaluation, relating it, then at the end, in literature review, you have to make your voice clear. That's you don't see. What is your standpoint? We don't see that in your literature review. Not just presenting other views and arguments. We don't want just you to present what did you find out, or what people say, and how did they argue. You know, we want your perspective, your position and standpoint. Most of the students, most of authors of papers writing and submitting papers for publications, when you review papers, this is the weakest part. You have to make a stand. We don't see that. You always, because you others reading the paper is very easy. You just take it, and if summarize it, then you just put it, and you put all the arguments they have provided right? That's not enough. You have to have your own perspective and position, standpoint. You got to put it there. Your theoretical position clearly and strongly stated. And then your language should indicate your assessment of literature. So you're writing in a way, it already tells you what kind of assessment you have. So make your voice very clear. What you see sometimes, many students, once you do literature review, say on dependent variable, then you have a summary table. After independent variable, you have another summary table. And at the literature review, at the end of it, conclusion, you have the whole summary. That's something good. You can make it, a clear explanation there and make it your standpoint clear beside what you write in the contents. Okay, this is something very important. You got to have that. Your voice should be clear cut. You got to make a standpoint. Your position and perspective should be very well. Okay. Now, this is the most important part, as I was saying earlier. I said your content should start with dependent variable followed by independent, then if you are moderating and control and all that. But you got to have approaches in writing the content or formatting of a literature review. Therefore, here I'm going to explain, and also I will recommend the one I feel more appropriate to me. You may have different standpoint. There are various approaches in organizing the body of literature review. And okay, and you should have a rough idea which one are you going to adopt. Okay, so depending on the length of your literature review, we can combine several strategies. Okay, therefore, you may not have only one, you have to combine. So first one, we call it chronological. So it is the simplest approach to trace the development of a topic over time. So say, for example, what's the example I give? Let us look at subqual. Parasuraman has developed subqual dimensions. So the first paper, he proposed 10 dimensions. And then in the second proposal, he come out with 5 dimensions, right? And from there, hundreds of people have done research. And now you can see many different dimensions are there. If you look at theory of plant behavior, TPB, and TAM, and from there you have ETOUT, and from there you have many other new dimensions also there. So I'll just give you 2 examples. So you can start with the first proposal of a theory. From there, some verification have done, some validation has been done, some modification has been done, some extension of the theory has been done. Anything, right? Because hundreds and thousands of people are doing research every day. So the presentation of findings should be in a chronological order. So you start with the theory we proposed, say, for example, in 1970. That is the first introduction of the theory. And from there, you have to come to 2020, right? So chronologically, you can present your literature review findings. You analyze and present it, summarize it, present it in a simple manner, chronologically, okay? And here also you will try to analyze the pattern, turning points of arguments and key debates on the area, all right, while you are describing chronologically. The second approach, we call it thematic, which I subscribe, I advocate, I recommend you to use. So you present your literature review based on the theme. As I said, you start with dependent variable, then independent variable, each of them is a theme of your research. Theme and sub-themes, right? So thematic. So we say that you have found some recurring central themes and you can organize your literature review into subsection and address them with different aspects of topic. So for example, we say if you are doing a literature review on inequalities of migrant health outcomes, your theme here is healthcare policy. And from there you move on, language barriers, cultural attitudes and all that. That's what I said. You start with dependent variable, then independent, then moderating, okay? So this is thematic. But while you are doing thematic, it has to be chronological. That's what I said, huh? It has to be chronological. So this is chronological. So while you are adopting thematic, and yet under the thematic, you will have chronological order, chronologically presented, okay? So you're combining these two already. The third one is methodological. Certain research where you have methodological contribution a lot, and you see different people use different methodology, then you need to have, in the literature review, you need to have presentation of literature on the methodological aspects also. So we say if we draw sources from different disciplines and fields and use a variety of research methods, you may have to have some comparison of methods. In finance, we do that. Many external examiners will be looking into it, because different people use different methodologies. So we have to compare that. So while we use thematic, under thematic, you may have chronological. At the same time, you may also have methodological, description also there. And the fourth one, we call it theoretical. So literature review is often the foundation of theoretical framework, right? Not often, always, right? Especially for us who has a theoretical framework in your research. Literature review works as a foundation. From there, we identify variables. We pick them up and then we put them in the framework. We call it theoretical framework, right? So these are the four approaches we have: chronological, thematic, methodological, and theoretical. I think most of the time, we will have thematic, and then we will have chronological and theoretical. Methodological may not be always there, but sometimes you may have methodological. So you may combine all four. Which one should come first? I would rather prefer you start with thematic. I will start with thematic. So you go with thematic approach, and then you embed chronological, theoretical, or methodological, the one you feel more appropriate for your research. Then you present your literature review based on that, all right? So the content and formatting of a literature review can start with thematic, and then you embed with chronological and theoretical, and possibly if you need methodological. So all four can be embedded. You may have two embedded together, or three embedded together. It's depending on the research area and the research problem in hand, okay? So these are some examples I give, but again, I'm going to share this slide with you, so I'm not going to go through. This is a weak literature review because there's no connection, and it's just a summary. You can see the citation after citation. That's what many of you do. You just take one line from one research, you put the citation, then another line, and you put citation, another line, you put citation. These are the very weak ones. This is not expected. This is something good and acceptable. You can see you start with a general description, and then you are having logical flow, logical sequence, and good flow, and we're connecting one with another, and you are having your own standpoint. That's what is important, all right? It's being shown here. The slide will be shared with you so you can look through. This is another one. You can see the student started even arguing from the beginning, okay? So you are debating and describing the debates on the area, and later you are making a standpoint. So you are clearly, putting it in a logical sequence and good flow. The debates are there, and what is your standpoint? That's what we are saying an acceptable literature review. Now, let me answer this question also. Many times a student asks us, how many papers should I read? Personally, I feel if you have identified key papers, about 40, and you have really read, as I said, each paper should be read for 4 times. If you do that, then I think that 40 papers should be enough. The rest will come in the citation and the reference list. 40 papers should be read by heart, not read by heart. And you should be knowing everything of these 40 papers. If you do that, I'm sure, I'm hopeful that you should be able to defend your research work in any level, okay? In a PhD level, we expect about 200 citation, 200 paper citation, and master's level 100, minimum, that's a minimum. And then we expect 40% of your cited papers coming from the latest 5 years. This is important. Many of you may not have that. Many of you will be going through the old papers and then you just cite them. But please keep in mind, it is expected that you have 40% citations from the latest 5 years. All right, let me now introduce a template that I have developed, which help you to summarize your research paper. As I said, the research paper could be 10 pages long, up to 40 pages long. And you read and you find it very difficult, what should I take from this paper? So I'm proposing a template which may help you to summarize the research paper. I put in the middle the title of the paper, and I'm keeping the reference at the bottom. And that's what the software will do, the literature, systematic literature review software, they keep the references there. Even Mendeley will do that for you. So when you read the paper, try to get the research problem they have highlighted, and then you summarize the findings of previous research, not the research paper they are really reading. So you are getting the variables, you are listing the variables from those research have been undertaken before. You jot down what are the theories or hypotheses being tested, or theories being used as underpinning or supporting theories. Look at how they collected the data, and look at the analysis method. How did they analyze? And now you are putting the points of the findings of this research, the paper that you are reading now, okay? And finally, I will also keep it, this point very important. Someone is speaking. Can you please mute your microphone, please? Please mute your microphone, please. And suggestion for future research, at the end of every paper, you will always find this suggestion for future research, whereby authors will say what they have done and what they couldn't do, or what they couldn't, so that's where you will have rooms to do a new research. And here also you will find some good points. They will say, propose certain variables. They said could be very good to test for the future researchers. All right. So this is just one page. This is just one page. Let me show an example. This is a summary of an article. I do not really need more than this. I'm getting everything from a paper, putting in one page. And remember, in the second reading, you are already annotating, you are highlighting, and you are highlighting or underlining. So that is already there. So, but beside that, you are doing one-page summary of a paper. So every paper we read, this is about 16 pages long paper. I have summarized in one page. This is another example. This is 25 pages long paper, summarized in only one page. Okay, so that's how you should be summarizing a paper. And at the end, when you finish, if you have finished reading 10 papers, so this is how I show it, summary of 10 papers or 10 articles. So you can summarize 10 articles into one page. Can be done, So each paper you summarize into one A4 paper, and now we have 4 A4 paper printed. You take them and then you summarize into one A4 paper. So now you can see it is beautifully summarized, 10 papers into one page. And that's what I suggest. It may be difficult for you, but you can always do it. You can summarize 10 papers into one page, then you go for next 10 papers, you summarize into one page, you go for next 10 papers, you summarize into one single page. So if you need 40 papers, you are going to have 4 single pages, summary of 10 papers in one page. All right. Finally, I would suggest that from the 4 papers, where 10 papers summarized in each, you make it one-page summary for 40 papers. Okay, so it's going to be like mind mapping, you know, and you will find it amazing. It looks so beautiful, you know. 40 papers summarized into one single page. So you just sit down on your desk and put it in front of you. Look at it. 40 papers are there in front of you. Okay. If you can do that, it would be very good. All right. So this is my own idea of systematic literature review. You know, summarizing literature paper, comparing and contrasting the findings of previous research can be done using this template. Okay. Now, at the end of your literature review, what we'd like to see is what? The research gap. Sometimes we say literature gap and all that, right? So I'm also proposing a template for you to plot the research gap. So when you do literature review, basically you have your dependent variable there, and then you identify issues. All issues become independent variable, okay? Independent variable. And sub-problem 2, I put it here, that this student basically has moderating variables. I put it as issue number 6, different issue, all right? So issues can be summarized in this template. So your main problem is your dependent variable. And from literature review, there are many dimensions there, many dependent variables being tested, many factors being tested, but all not relevant to you. Those are relevant, you take them as one issue and you put them in this plot, okay? Will help you a lot, okay? And also, I will always advise, recommend student finding out literature gap from literature and all that is not enough. You also identify issues from the industry where actually the problem is rooted. It's very important. Huh? Most of the research we see, authors or researchers are very good when it comes to academic standpoint. They do summarize, debate, evaluate, analyze, all that, very good. Identify the issues with literature and all that, very good. Unfortunately, when it comes to relating it to industry, the results are very poor, all right? So that's what we want. Kindly please take these two templates, keep in mind and understand it very well. There must be a clear relationship, relations of your academic work with industry. I do remember, when I go to industry, many industry people complain a lot about PhD. They say, it's just an academic degree. It doesn't have any relevance to us. That's what they say, So I used to argue, no. When I did my research, I did have applications on the stock market. My research was on the stock market. It was really relevant and related. So that's what you have to come in, So whatever research you do, please make sure you connect it with industry, because the problem is coming from industry. The problem is coming from society. The problem is coming from countries. The context of research should be kept in mind when you do literature review. Okay, so once you find out, you can plot it, and your argument will be stronger. You got literature gap and you got industry gap coming together. You got knowledge gap and you got practical gap coming together. Make it stronger to plot your problem. All right, and then you continue your research. I think with that, I would like to end my session. I said, if you are good in following this step that I have recommended, inshallah, at the end, you will have this feeling, I have got it, I have done it, all right? So thank you very much for patient hearing, and I will stop sharing the screen and I pass the session to Ms. Desti, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, let
Thank
me
you,
stop
thank you.
sharing.
Yeah.
And all right. I stopped sharing already. Now the session is to Desti, Ms. Desti Fitriani, right?
Yes, thank you, Prof. Aminul
You are
Islam.
on, but with Desti, I think having problem.
Okay. Test. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Ms. Desti having problem with her internet.
Oh, okay. Okay, is it clear now?
Now Aiza is also having problem. Aiza.
No, I'm okay. Yes, Desti, you can continue.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Desti is having problem.
No, this, we can hear Prof.
Okay, so is it, can you hear me? So I have noted that there are about 6 questions already addressed in the chat box, Prof. I think I would like now to address the questions on the chat box, right? So I have noted one question
Okay.
From Mr. Ramesh Subramaniam. My topic is exploring the social structure of juvenile involved in crime of theft. I find it is hard to find journal or doing literature review since the topic is very rare. Please give me some idea. So the question is similar to Miss Nabila. How to find literature review with the rare topic?
I think during my presentation, I did speak about it. I said when you decide to take up an area of research, identify the research problem, make sure you know exactly the resources available. Okay, so if you have short of material, so how do I help you? I'm not very sure how to help you. Unless if you do a qualitative research, if you are short of literature, you can then proceed to qualitative research. So you look at the phenomena, from there you look at the pattern, you develop hypotheses, and then you continue your research. Possible, qualitative. So if you are short of materials, then you should not be able, or you should not be going for quantitative research. Rather, you should be going for qualitative research. So then you will have grounded theory approach. I hope you are familiar with grounded theory. So please read more on grounded theory and go for inductive research and go for constructivism, the research philosophy that I have talked about. So even though you are having scarcity of literature, but those approaches will help you to conduct and complete your research, inshallah.
Yes, I think that might also finding the right keyword for exploring the literature, because yeah, I find that when I mistaken put the keyword, yeah, there are very few coming, but once we find the right one, I think it is possible to get more, right? So okay, so we go to the second question from Miss Nabila. So, doctor, could you please tell more about define and redefine parameter?
Okay, I think I have forgotten something with Desti. I said we will take some snaps and I forgot. Can you do it now and go for question?
Okay, right.
Participants, if you don't mind, can you switch on your video camera, please?
Yes, please. Please turn on the video. We'll take a picture together.
Participants, can you switch on your video? Those of you can. Please switch on your videos. They would like to, the organizers would like to take few snaps. We'll give you 1 minute to switch on the camera. The technical brothers, please wait for a while. Camera, it depends on the video, depends on the quality of internet. I see many Nigerian brothers there. Many Nigerian brothers are there, I see. Usually I get a lot. Today also there are many. Can you switch on your video, please? So we take some few snaps. Where is Miss Desti? Okay, she's there. Okay. Please switch on your camera, video, please. Yeah, I think it's still okay. You have different pages, Miss Aiza. You have to take snap from different pages. You have to move on different pages and take from different pages, right?
Yes, Professor.
Yes, we have several pages, right?
You cannot see all in one. You have many pages.
Yes.
Unless you change the
Don't
layout.
know which one.
You can change the layout and you can bring more in one page. So it's up to you. You can change the layout wherever you can accommodate many. So in that way, you can take the snap.
Okay, are we ready now? So I think for the first page.
Yeah, I think so.
First screen. Yeah. Make sure smile. We don't know in which pages we are in. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, the next one. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then the third page.
Yeah, you got many pages.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Ah. Okay, the next one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. How many pages do we have? So many, yeah. Okay, next. 1, 2, 3.
Miss Isaac, can you give my YouTube channel link in the chat box?
Yes, I have already shared and I am again going to do it.
Can you give one more time because there are some participants asking for it.
Okay.
We cannot email the slide to you. There are so many. So get the slide from my YouTube channel. Once I get the video from Miss Isa, we will upload the video. And beneath the video, we will keep the slide for you. So you can get the slide from there. Is it possible, Miss Isa, to share the slide here in the chat box? Is it possible? I do not know.
I am actually looking at it. That can I attach the notes here or not?
Yeah, if you put the slide in the Google Drive and get the link, then can be shared.
Yes, yes.
Yes. I see many from Nigeria. I don't know, quite big number. What is time now in Nigeria?
Yes,
Can all of you speak? Yes.
it's
So
10,
what
11
time
in the
now?
morning, sir.
It's after 10.
Yes, 10, 11.
It's a very good time then for you.
Yes, bro.
Yes, sir.
Join me tomorrow. Join me in tomorrow's webinar. Would be at 11:30 Malaysian time.
Okay.
The PhD journey going to be an exciting session. The UITM acting vice chancellor would be there, together with our INIMAP assistant vice chancellor, Prof. Harshita. Join tomorrow's session. Going to be an exciting session.
We'll try to
The PhD journey, I have a mega webinar, the PhD journey, where I get the VC and deputy VCs to come and share their experiences of PhD to motivate you and inspire you. So this is going to be episode number 4. But if you go to my channel, episode number 1, 2, 3 are there.
What is it? What is it?
Inshallah.
Okay, Ms. Desti, possibly we move to question answer session again.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, Doctor. So we proceed to question from Ms. Nabila. Could you please tell us about define and redefine parameter?
Okay. I think Ms. Desti has earlier answered the question because she said when she looked for literature, she started with some keywords. She didn't get the paper, then she refined her idea and got 3 more keywords. She got the paper, right? Ms. Desti has mentioned that. So that's what it is. You have certain keywords, then based on the research problem or research question, and with that you search for articles. And if you do not get the article, refine the keywords. Refine the keywords, and you should be able to get. Say for example, you search for salary and job satisfaction, and you did not get many people. So what can you do? You type compensation package and job satisfaction. You might get few. So that's the way you change, or you change it to remuneration and job satisfaction. So you have 1 keyword. If you do not get, you try with similar few more keywords. Then you should be able to get it. I think Ms. Isa has already put the slides in the chat box. You can get the slide already, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she has already shared the slides you can get from there.
Yes, and I also shared an email address with you. If you still have a problem, please kindly email on that email address.
All right. One participant I see asking for any software to help writing the SLR. As I said earlier, I do not recommend anyone to use any software for literature. I don't. So I know a few softwares, but I do not want to say it. The reason I don't want you to use the software, okay? Because literature review, you got to really read the paper by heart. You got to really understand paper by heart. Why? Because when you go for proposal defense and final viva voce, the citation should be on your lips, and you must know which page in that paper you have that thing. You know, that kind of reading has to be there, about 40 papers. So if you want to have that kind of understanding and control over the articles, then the software should not be used. Do it manually. Do in a certain time. Smart work doesn't help. It has to be hard work. Okay, and personally, I don't believe in smart work. I always believe in hard work. Okay, and that's what there's a proverb which says, 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. Hard work, 99% come from hard work, and 1% come from smart work. Okay, so that's what personally I believe. That's what certainly what I believe. So literature review, I do not want you to refer to software, please. I'd rather do it on your own. Okay.
Okay, Prof. So now I think I would like to give an opportunity for the audience here to give a question directly now to Professor Aminul Islam.
Yes, please. Anyone has question, you can raise now. Face to face, I think would be good.
Yes, Prof. I have a question.
Yes.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, Brother Omar. Yes, please speak.
Yes, sir. You recommended 40 papers, so 40 articles at least, for someone to make a literature review. So is this recommendation on thesis or writing journal article? Because when you are writing a thesis, you have a lot of, maybe if you have so many variables that you need to make a literature review on. So these papers, 40 papers you are recommending.
Okay.
I think I have for you.
Yeah, Brother Omar, I have said it, I think, during my presentation. These 40 should be the key papers. I'm not talking about thesis. I'm not talking about books. 40.
I mean, what I mean, sir, is this on writing thesis or journal article that you are recommending 40
journal articles. It must be journal articles and the key articles. I said 40 key articles, yes. Not normal articles, 40 key articles. I put that word key. Okay. Some studies are known as very good dominating papers in that area. You know, those are the key studies you got to identify. So 40 key studies in that area should be sufficient for you to develop good grasp of understanding on that area. 40 to me is enough. All right. So the rest will be just previewing and cleansing through.
So what I mean
by heart.
So what I mean here, Prof, is that if I am writing a dissertation or thesis, I have many variables, dependent and independent variables. Will these 40 papers be enough for me? Because I have different variables that I need to make a literature review on. Will these 40 papers be enough for me? For both the dependent and independent variables that I need to make a literature review on?
In one study, you may see 5 or 6 variables, another study 4 variables, another study 5 variables. So if you have 40 studies, if you summarize, you will easily find about 15 to 20 variables there. And from there, you pick up which one is very relevant to your research problem. So that's where you develop your theoretical framework. So you may have only 4 or 5 independent, then one moderating or one mediating, and then how we, come to a conclusion. That's why. Right, Omar?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Yes, doctor. Can you hear me?
Yes, Sister Zahra. Yes, can hear you.
The Doctor, I'm very thankful to you for clearing many of my views about the literature reviews. Because of this pandemic, we are still in Saudi and we are not able to come and join our professors directly. So it was a very wonderful experience for me to attend that meeting with you. The doctor, my main question, which I also asked, which I raised in my chat box, is that if I like my in my I have recently done my proposal defense this month in the March, and I have faced the thing that I did not have enough statistical data available on my research topic. Like my topic was on women empowerment in public organization of Saudi Arabia. But when I go for the statistical data, it was not available in that amount which I required. So what to do in that case?
It's a very good question. Most of the defense that I attended, either proposal defense or final viva, that's where the students are very weak. And that's why if you look at the last two slides that I have presented, I have put one slide on the knowledge gap, and the second slide is industrial gap. So first of all, I would like to congratulate you for defending your proposal. Okay. And your question on you cannot find the statistical data. So when you try to describe the research problem, students are good getting it from literature or academic viewpoint. But most of the time we fail to get the data where the problem is rooted. You got to support your presentation with some kind of data. So that data must be obtained. So if you are doing a research on what topic again, Sister Zahra?
Yes, it's a women empowerment in Saudi public organization.
Okay, I think there are some studies available on women empowerment. If you cannot get the data on Saudi, get data from some other countries is still okay, acceptable. Okay, you may not have specific data available for your country context, but those kind of data are available worldwide. So any country data can be useful, helpful, beneficial for you to argue that some research is done in those countries, and these are the data available, and that actually warrants a new research. And even though this is cannot be found in my country, this kind of research has not been done in my country, so I am taking this research to find something new in the country context. Okay. So if you cannot find the data from your country, please get it from some other countries. I share my experience with you. We've got one student doing PhD. She now lives in UK. And her research is on entrepreneurial and technological transformation, and her dependent variable is farm sustenance, organization performance. But she couldn't provide any data that shows that organizations are in trouble. Those are in the sample. So when she came to defend, she has serious problems, because her dependent variable organization performance, but she cannot prove that organizations are having performance problem. So how to survive? Because her sample came from top 50 firms, top 50 firms from the what magazine they ranked the companies. I cannot remember. Fortune, right? Fortune magazine. So top 50 companies. So none of them have any problem with organization performance. And she has done a proposal defense. Now she is in the pre-viva. You can imagine the kind of problem she has. So her supervisor requested me, Prof, can you please join us in the Google meeting and help us? So finally, I told the student, okay, since he cannot find any organization performance problem, because you are taking top 50, possibly look at the data from 2000 until 2020 and see how many top 50 sustain in next 5 years. And from next 5 years, how many sustain in next 5 years. So she collected the data and she was so amazed and so surprised, this year's top 50, half of them does not survive in next 50, next year. Next year, another 25 new company comes in. And if you follow 20 years before those who are in the top 50, after 20 years, 1 or 2 is there. The rest of them are new. So meaning that organizational performance, this company is no problem with organizational performance. It's still profitable, making money, but they have problem in sustaining in the top 50. Okay, so that's how we identify. So when you have a problem in your research, you have to start thinking and look for different kind of ideas. Okay, Sister Zahra, since you cannot find data from Saudi Arabia, please get some data from other parts of the world, and possibly if you get from Gulf countries, would be very helpful. Okay, Sister Zahra, did I answer your question? That's it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor. You have solved a very long-term question for me. I'm sorry, I have to ask one other question, which I recently faced with my in the proposal defense. That was that my two theories, that underlining theories, I used in my proposal. I was not able to enough defend them, but I found them a very accurate related to the my dependent variable. So what to do in that case also?
You could not convince the examiners that these theories are your underpinning theory.
Yes, Professor. Actually, I was working a lot on my theories, and I spent almost 6 months to select the accurate theories for my dependent variable. But I was not able to defend them. Still, I need to work a lot on them. Can you give any kind of suggestions on this?
Yeah, I think participants, others, would you please mute your microphone, please? If you want to ask questions, please unmute. Please mute your microphone, please. Okay, Sister Zahra, I think one way would be... Samsul Alam, can you please mute your microphone, please? Brother Samsul Alam, please. Okay. Sister Zahra, I think one way would be, since you have now problem with your examiners, so it's very difficult for me to say something, but let me give you a clue. How can you defend whether your theory is applicable or not? The theory that you have identified, you said you got basically two theories. So possibly the dominant theory is going to be the underpinning theory, and the other theory is going to be the supporting theory, right? That's how we look at it. You cannot have more than one underpinning theory. So the dominant theory is underpinning theory. The rest of the theories could be supporting theory. Now, look at the dominant theory. What are the assumptions? Read the original paper when this theory was proposed. Okay, find out that original paper. There, you will have the assumptions. What were the assumptions to propose this theory? And then connect those assumptions with your research assumptions. If you are successful in connecting the theory assumptions with your research assumptions, then I think you should be able to defend it already. You'll be stronger to defend it, inshallah. Okay, Sister Zahra?
Okay. Yeah, I got your point. Thank you so much, Professor.
Prof, sir.
Professor.
Yes.
Please, yes, sir. I think, can I go ahead, sir?
Yes, please.
Based on the Zahara's questions, that is why I wanted to actually thank you for not recommending any software for literature review, because I also experienced this problem. I started manually actually in my literature review, but later on when I came across some webinars on some software on literature review, I started to use them. Now I later on discovered that I am being so lazy, and from the way I cited with manual, increasing my knowledge, having so much knowledge on the key areas. Now I switch on to using softwares. I became so lazy. It made me so lazy, and maybe that is the problem. Maybe some of us are facing. If you don't, you cannot defend a theory. Maybe someone has not read enough on that particular topic.
True.
And it will become a problem for him later on to defend whatever he is presenting in the Bible or defense proposal.
Agreed.
Yes. My question is bro.
Yes.
If I have so many variables, dependent and independent variable, I now have my framework. Now, using a particular theory or underpinning theory to explain my framework, that is where now I have a problem. Must I use one theory to explain my framework? underpinning theory, or I can use as many theories as possible.
Okay. If you find a comprehensive theory that can cover up all the variables that you have put in the framework, one theory is enough. Okay. Those variables that you have taken, independent, mediating, moderating, whatever you have, I do not know, dependent. If you find one theory is not enough, then you will need to have the dominating theory, as I said, will be underpinning theory, and then you will have a supporting theory. Even one supporting theory is not enough. You can have more than one. So you have one dominating theory, which is underpinning theory, and you have few supporting theories. That is one possibility. The other possibility is this. If you find an area which is well researched, a lot of research have been undertaken. What you can do is you can even integrate theories. Integrate, meaning you combine 2-3 theories together and come out with a new framework. That could be a good contribution. Okay, so that can be done also. So it is completely dependent on the kind of research problem at hand. Okay, research is basically revolves around the research problem that is identified and defined. Okay, so if you find one theoretical explanation is enough to solve the problem, one theory. If you need more than one theory, two theory, then two theory. If you need 3-4 theories to come together to answer, the research questions you have, then you have to have 4-5. So depending on the research problem you have.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome. Any other question?
I have a question.
Sorry,
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, commenting on Zahra's question regarding the statistics, I still have this problem also in my research in Egypt, because in Egypt we usually don't have statistics, especially in the HR field, and I cited this in several papers, saying that in Egypt there are lack of studies in the HRM. So in order to find a sufficient proof to defend my problem, I conducted like 20 interviews with my context here in Egypt to support my problem. I don't know if this is if this will be enough or no.
I don't think, because Sister Zahra, the question she has, the internal examiner wanted some support, statistical data to support her study. So if you do a qualitative study and then you want to show the support from them, it may not be still enough. It is good, but as I have recommended earlier, you can show some statistical data, some data available from other countries, the other parts of the world. Show that data, and then after that, if you want to show with some qualitative findings, would be good. Just qualitative alone may not be enough and convincible. Okay, that may not convince your examiners.
You mean other countries, they should be in the Middle East or all over the world? Don't worry, only in Middle East.
We will always try to find from the same region. If you get from Middle East, very good. If you cannot get it from Middle East, get it from other parts of the world.
Okay, one last question. Do we have a specific number of pages required for each variable in the literature review?
Not really. Not really. It depends.
Not really.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, Prof. In quantitative study, usually students review literature based on their defendant, independent, and moderator or mediator.
Yes, please continue. I think got internet issues with him. Cannot hear him.
Hello. Yes, Prof. My question is that in quantitative research, literature are reviewed based on independent, defendant, mediating, and moderating variables. What about in the case of qualitative research, sir?
Well, I think I have mentioned it during my presentation. Quantitative will start with dependent and follow on. For qualitative, by research. Qualitative, the structure, the formatting of literature review would be based on research questions. Is that clear now, brother?
Yes, it's clear, Prof. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I think I have mentioned that during my presentation. I tried during my presentation to combine all the questions you may have. I tried to present in that way.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you, Prof.
Welcome.
Okay. Is there any other question? Or I believe the time we have actually is until 5:30, and it is now already 5:33. Do we have?
We can allow a few more minutes.
Excuse me,
Okay,
just
sure.
a small question. Excuse me.
Yes, yes, Zara.
Please, doctor, what's the appropriate length or recommended length of chapter 2 for the literature review? How many pages?
It's very difficult to say how many pages, but I think let us put it in a common sense way. If a PhD thesis is 200 pages long, your chapter 1 would be about 20 pages. You cannot be having more than that. Chapter 3 would be about 20-25 pages, so you have 45 pages. Chapter 4 would be about 25 pages, so you have now about 70 pages. And chapter 5 is about 30 pages, so 100 pages. So still you left 100 pages. So your literature review could be, about that range, 60 pages to 100 pages. Yeah. Because you need to have minimum word limits, right? There is a limit for words that you have to fulfill, minimum number of words for PhD thesis. So if you want to fulfill that, in most of the universities, your thesis should be about 200 pages long. So to fill up 200 pages, I think that is the most voluminous chapter, like literature review. It should be a bit more voluminous compared to the other chapters. So about 60 to 100, but not more than that. About 60 to 100 would be good.
Hello, doctor.
Yes.
So my study is more on technical.
What's your name and where do you come from?
Okay, my name is Isra. I am from Sudan.
Okay, Sudan.
Yeah, I did my master in School of Computer, but now I'm conducting PhD in School of Management. So my research is more on technical part, like what I did in School of Computer. So the literature I have read so far, they don't have theory or theoretical concept. It's more on technical. So what should I do? It doesn't have like hypothesis. It's more on technical. So
Okay.
how can I do it in School of Management?
If you remember, I said when you present your literature review, you can follow 4 approaches: chronological, thematic, remember, theoretical, and methodological.
Yes.
So yours one is more focused on methodological.
Yes, correct.
You start with thematic, but more focused on methodological. That will make it more technical. So I did supervise a PhD student, and she is online with me now, Dr. Rula Al-Halashi from Jordan. And she did on stochastic optimization, for share market certain variables. Even she has completed her PhD, successfully defended it, and now she is working in Jordan. But until now, I have difficulty even understanding how did she do her work. It's so technical because she has to learn a new software, and I have to connect her with the School of Mathematics, some specialists on optimization and all that. So she learned new software, and she had 101 equations finally to arrive at optimization formula, So it's very technical. So that's what I'm saying, that in your case, your literature review content should be organized based on thematic, but more focused on methodological.
But should I develop theoretical framework?
For your case, I don't think you will have equations, so you will have modeling.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You should be going for modeling, econometrics modeling, so you'll have equations. In that case, you might be using Stata software or Amos. So you're not really
Actually, I'm using programming software.
Oh, okay, then it's different. The programming would be more even accurate for you because it's very technical. Like my student, Dr. Rula, uses also programming. But I'm very poor in programming, so I cannot talk about it.
What's her name so I can email her privately?
I'm sorry?
What's her name? So can I text her privately? Dr. What? Sorry?
So, Dr. Rula. Dr. Rula from Jordan. Rula Al-Halashi.
Okay. Thank you, doctor.
Welcome. She is working with Mota University, Jordan. If you go to Mota University website, you will find her, Dr. Rula Al-Halashi. I think you can get it on Facebook also, Rula Al-Halashi.
Okay, thank you, doctor.
Welcome.
Hello, doctor.
This is Dr. Rula is speaking now.
Yes, I am with doctor. I'm not spend any webinar without sharing it with you and listening to your interesting and very important topic you discuss with the new PhD. Also, if I can provide any help for the, I forget the name, from Sudan, the student from Sudan.
Yes.
I am happy to help her to introduce any help she may want.
So, Dr. Rula, can you put your email address in the chat box so the Sudanese sister will get it from there?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Please put your email address in the chat box so the Sudanese sister will contact you through the email.
Okay. Okay, doctor. Okay, Prof.
Ms. Desti, would you allow a few more questions or you want to stop it here?
Sure, sure. At your convenience, Prof.
Okay, maybe we go for a few more questions. Yes.
Yes, sir. Prof, I still have another one. In your lecture, Prof, you said after critical review, one has to make his own view finally, and we are made to believe from other notions that your views only comes after you finished and your analysis and presentation. That is the only way that you make your view known. But in the literature review, you only relate what other people say about that particular point. But I prove that notion wrong from your own presentation now, that after critical review and analysis, you have to make your own view pertaining that issue. Is that right?
Yeah. Basically, you have to describe first what people talked about, and then you have to find out what are the weaknesses of their research and all. And finally, you have to make a standpoint. If you look at the definition of simple term, say, for example, job satisfaction, there are many different kind of definition there. Which definition do we accept? You know, so operational definitions, all that we have in chapter 3, but even literature, you have different kind of findings and you have to make a standpoint. Where do you stand? You stand, okay? So that's make it critical. Because if you do not do a critical analysis and evaluation, you won't be able to make a stand on it. Okay. All right. Some other question, anyone? I won't allow Brother Umar anymore. We have taken three questions from you. I'm just kidding. Any other question?
I'm sorry, can I have a question? I'm sorry.
Sure.
One last question.
What's your name, please?
I'm Inji from Egypt.
Okay, I've asked question 1 before, so this is your last question.
Yes, this is my last question. Can you just give me an example for the statistics that I can get from other countries? What kind of statistics that I can get? Just an example.
So your study is on human resource management, is it?
Yes, it is.
It's about the data. The data. I do not know what are the independent variables. If you are looking at turnover, absenteeism, if you are looking at human resource practices, I do not know what are the variables. So based on the variables, those variables are the issues. So I take a very simple example. Say, for example, turnover rate. So that data is available almost every country. If you don't have in your country, you get the data from other country and say that these are documented evidence that this is a problem. So I couldn't find any data from my country, but these are the documented evidence from other countries. Do you follow me?
You just mean that, yes. You mean that I can cite papers with their results saying that there is a problem in turnover according to these citations, correct?
The citations, they may just tell you whether got an effect or no effect. But the data usually you can get from World Bank, you can get from United Nations, you can get from syndicated organization where the data is available. For example, like Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Human Resource Management, they will have specialized data. I think your examiners are looking that kind of data, not citations.
Okay. Thank you, Prof, so much. Thank you.
Okay. Desti, you have to unmute. Sorry, calling you Desti. Is it Desti? Is it Desti?
Yes, correct. That's my nickname.
Okay, Fitriani. Okay. I think we take one more question and then
Sure.
we have to end it. The last question, possibly. Anyone?
Excuse me, Doctor.
Yes.
I am Al-Hamza. I would like to ask you about your advice for the research selection.
Research selection. What does it mean by
The
that,
topic.
brother?
The topic. I mean the topic.
Sorry?
The topic of research selection.
Isaac, did you get it? I did not really get it.
Yes, he is asking about the topic. I guess he wanted to ask.
Yes.
Okay, topic of research. All right. Basically, there are certain things you always look at when you want to select a topic to pursue for your PhD topic, research, or any research that you do. The first thing that I always suggest you to look at is your own background. Your own background. If you're honors masters in marketing and you come up to me and tell me that I want to do a research in finance, I will say, please, that's not the area you should do. So first of all, you have to look at your own background. So the research topic should be in line with your academic background. That's number one. Number two, your interest. Sometimes even though you have degree in market and masters in marketing, but you've got no interest in marketing, possible, possible. So the second question would be interest. And also in marketing, there are so many different areas. So there could be certain areas you are interesting, certain areas are not interesting. So that would be second part. The third part would be your skill, your capacity, because certain research will demand a strong foundation in its statistics. Certain demand may not demand that, so we have many different ways of looking at it. All right. I think if you open up any research methodology book, there's specific chapters on it or discussion on it, selecting the right research title. I have been planning to do a video on it and put up in my YouTube channel, but I did not manage to. Having quite busy life, last week I had 2 webinars, one in Kashmir, one in Pakistan. Today I'm having with you at USM. Tomorrow I have my own mega webinar. Next Wednesday I have webinar in Indonesia. Then following Saturday I have webinar in Iraq. And then after that I have a webinar in Jordan. And in between I have my own webinars, So even though I want certain videos to be updated, but unfortunately I can't really manage time. So this is a very good area where actually students have a lot of problems and questions. I wish I will find some time and make a video and upload it in the YouTube channel. But I have given you 3 reasons, 3 areas to look at. First one is your academic background. Second is your interest. And third is your skills that you have. Okay, so I think that 3 should be enough to determine whether you should be selecting an area of research or not. Okay?
Yes. Prof. Aminul, may I ask?
Yes,
As
sure,
a participant. So you earlier mentioned that in summarizing the key papers into 1 pages. So is it possible for us to summarize those key papers according to the similarity of the themes or sub-themes they are carrying? So we like to put them in a categorized according to the themes.
I think the template that I have prepared is suitable for all kind of papers. And I have tested it with my students. Okay, so you can try it because I'm sharing the slide with you. So the template is already there. Possibly next week when you have little time, we read 1 paper and try to plot all the findings there. I think you will find it useful and effective, inshallah.
Yeah. Okay, Prof. Thank you. Another question, or shall we conclude the session?
I think doesn't seem to be any question. There are many questions on the chat box, but we cannot take all the questions from there. It's very difficult.
Please, someone actually said, I have a short question. May I, Nubita? If Nubita, if you are around, you can ask the question. Yes, please ask the question.
Yes, Miss Novita. Please proceed. You have to unmute your mic.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I have a short question because I am a PhD student.
Problem, internet problem, I guess. Miss Novita, are you there?
Okay, looks like she has having the internet connectivity problem. Novita, if you can actually type your question in the chat box, we can take it.
Okay. Okay, while we are waiting for her, in case anyone have a question, you can ask now. I like to take her question, so we give 1 minute, 2 minutes to her to come back. Anyone has a question, you can raise now while she comes.
Okay, I am come back now. So can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah. So my
Are you
built some financial strategic modeling. So is it true? Is it correct if I use inductive approach in my literature review, Professor? Because I have difficulties to search to doing some literature review because it is also the rare the rare theme. When I try to I try to find the reference, the good reference for me. So maybe you can say something to me, Professor. Thank you.
Where do you come from, sister?
I'm from Indonesia. I'm from Indonesia.
Okay, I understood your question and concern.
Yes.
You think you are doing a research on quantitative area, and
Yes.
you want to do deductive research. That will sound very funny, you know.
Okay.
This is what you do. You find relevant theories. Is available. Relevant theories are available. There could be short of research findings, but theories are available on your area. So once the theories are available, you should not be doing inductive research. You got to be deductive. But again, looking at the problem in hand, if you can strongly rationalize the approach, inductive research approach, you may undertake. There's no problem in that. But in your scenario, I would suggest rather you go for mixed approach, mixed method, qualitative, quantitative together, triangulation.
Yes.
Triangulation is the most suitable for you.
Okay.
Okay, Novita?
Yes, thank you, Professor. That's quite really.
All right, thank you. All right, Desti now is passed to you, and you and Isaac has to decide. I'm just a guest, so it's your session.
Yeah, it was very interesting and insightful. No wonder there are so many questions. I think you don't mind if we send you in emails if we still have further questions. Okay.
Okay.
We do better. We recommend the participants to join you on your YouTube channel because if they haven't seen, I see that every questions they are asking you right now, you actually have addressed these questions in most of your YouTube channel webinars. So it would be like more productive for the students.
Yeah, I have actually tried to make it everything in one place. So that is my objective. So I want my YouTube channel to be enough for any PhD student. Everything should be there, but I have not been able to do that yet. But I'm trying because I have just started 9 months before. Like Dr. Faizan Ali started 1.5 years before, but I started only 9 months before, and I'm quite busy. I have 15 PhD students with me now, supervised, 15, 1-5. And I have 16 postdoctoral students doing research with me. So you can imagine my life. 15 PhD students, 16 postdoctoral students, and besides that,
the way you are putting, I guess you can say that I have no life. Like, just
I'm not saying that. No. I won't say that. When I'm at home, I don't do anything. The time is only for my wife and kids. I don't do anything. When I'm at home, is at home. When I'm at work, I'm at work. So I do that. I do that. But I hope and believe that, you know, in next 6 months' time, inshallah, God willing, I should have about 40 or 50 more videos. That's what we plan. Will be uploaded. And if you go to the YouTube channel, I think you will have everything there for you, inshallah. So those of you who are not in my YouTube channel, you can subscribe and watch it. You'll find it very useful. I have videos on research problem, 2.5 hours long. Videos on developing theoretical framework, 2.5 hours long video. I did have now, I'm putting up the video on SPSS. I did have videos on it, and SPSS you want to learn new. Soon I'm going to have on in vivo, also PLS, also Stata. So 4 softwares will be all there in the YouTube channel. So any software you'd like to learn is going to be there also, besides research methodology related areas in the video. So all analysis will be also there for you. Okay? All right, so I pass it to now Desti and Aiza.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Prof. Aminul Islam. So, my dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, we have now concluded our session. On behalf of the organizing committee, the USM Postgraduate Student Society, I would like to convey a highest appreciation for our distinguished speaker, Professor Aminul Islam, for sharing the knowledge that will be very beneficial in sharpening our research. And I would also like to thank all participants for joining in today's program. We believe that this is not going to be the end of the program. There are more talk of series coming held by our Postgraduate Student Society. So please keep updated with us, and we are looking forward to meeting you again in another series of talk. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum. You all stay safe and stay healthy and be good. See you some other time, inshallah. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much, Prof.